His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki, ISKCON's founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki, Shri Shri Krishna Balaram Ki, Sankirtan Yagya Ki, Go Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So, devotees, of course, today is the most extremely auspicious appearance day of Lord Balaram. Sri Baladev Ji Ki. Yes, it's wonderful. And therefore, we will discuss some of the glorious pastimes of Lord Balaram. Yesterday, at least those of you who were here, you would remember we talked about, you could say, some of the philosophy and who is Lord Balaram and what is his position, that sort of idea, which is very interesting and very important. We can just mention right now, we'll read a verse, that's what we'll do. We'll read a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam to just get things started. I'm going to today talk about, among other things, how Lord Balaram sort of saved the day when Lord Krishna kidnapped Rukmini. And yes, Krishna kidnapped Rukmini. It's according to Vedic culture, it is a form of wedding or marriage ceremony if the young man kidnaps the bride. I don't think we should do it nowadays, but that's there. Yes, right. So then her brother, Rukmini's brother, pursued them as they're riding away. He pursued them and confronted Lord Krishna and challenged Lord Krishna to, a fight to the death. But Lord Krishna completely defeated Rukmi, the brother. Rukmi is the brother of Rukmini. Yes, completely defeated. And not just completely defeated, but, what would you say, sort of embarrassed him. I mean, that was the end result, that he was embarrassed. Gave him a special haircut. It was something like in those days, something like a sort of punk rock haircut. It was really pretty weird. Pieces cut off here, piece hanging over there, cut off here, some hanging on the side and, whatever, something along those lines. It really was pretty extreme. So, and Rukmini, even though she was, in a sense, extremely happy that Krishna had kidnapped her, because, it's a bit of a long story, we have many long stories, but Krishna kidnapped her in the middle of the procedure, or sort of earlier part of the procedure, in which she was meant to be married to Shishupal, who was a first-class demon, and just, for a first-class devotee like Rukmini, and made him look stupid, like really, really good. So, yes. So she became angry with Krishna, and, it was their wedding day. And, it's one thing if something goes wrong later, but on the wedding day, the couple should be very happy. But she was not very happy. So, she appealed to Krishna. Yeah, we'll read a few verses here where this happens. And then Lord Balaram stepped forward and spoke in such ways as to sort of, you could say, put Krishna in his place. How can you do this? This man is now effectively your brother. You shouldn't treat your brother like this. But then telling Rukmini, listen, Kshatriyas, warriors, they do things like this. It's not such a big thing. So like this, Lord Balaram pacified Rukmini. Yeah, and sort of settled things. So Rukmini was again happy with Krishna because Lord Balaram, among other things, is famous as a negotiator, a diplomat, someone who can speak to people and, people who have problems and pacify them and stabilize them. So, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So we're going to read, first of all, we'll read a few verses actually from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 54, the marriage of Krishna and Rukmini, and we'll begin with verse 32. Drishtva bratri vadod yogam Rukmini bayavivala patitva padayor bhartur uvacha karunam sati. Seeing Lord Krishna ready to kill her brother, saintly Rukmini was filled with alarm. She fell at her husband's feet and piteously spoke as follows. Shri Rukminu Vacha Yogeshvara Prameyatman Deva Deva Jagatpate Hantum Narhasi Kalyana Brataram Me Mahabhuja. Sri Rukmini said, O controller of all mystic power, immeasurable one, Lord of lords, master of the universe, O all auspicious and mighty armed one, please do not kill my brother. I'll read one or two other verses further, but I'll just read the translations. So next verse is 34. Shukadev Goswami said, Rukmini's utter fear caused her limbs to tremble and her mouth to dry up, while her throat choked up out of sorrow, and in her agitation her golden necklace scattered. She grasped Krishna's feet, and the Lord, feeling compassionate, desisted. He was like, I think he was going to shoot him with an arrow, but whatever he was going to do, he just stopped with that. Yes, and there's a purport here, it's just 2 sentences. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti quotes the quote-unquote worldly rule. It's just like a generally accepted rule amongst people, that one's sister is the personification of mercy. Dayaya Bhagini Murti. Even though Rukmi was wicked and was opposed to his sister's best interest, Rukmini was compassionate toward him, and the Lord shared her compassion. Next verse, 35. Lord Krishna tied up the evildoer with a strip of cloth. He then proceeded to disfigure Rukmi by comically shaving him, yes, leaving parts of his moustache and hair. By that time, the Yadu heroes had crushed the extraordinary army of their opponents, just as elephants crush a lotus flower. Right. And the purport says, Lord Krishna used his same sharp sword to give wicked Rukmi a peculiar haircut. Right, so next verse 36. As the Yadus approached Lord Krishna, they saw Rukmi in the sorry condition, practically dying of shame. When the all-powerful Lord Balaram saw Rukmi, he compassionately released him and spoke the following to Lord Krishna. Balaram's just arrived on the scene. There was a whole fight when Krishna kidnapped Rukmini and rode off. So many warriors who were there tried to stop them, and Balaram and other members of the family, the Yadu dynasty, there at the place of the wedding, they got into a whole big battle with those people, but subdued them, and then followed Krishna and Rukmini and found them some distance away in the situation as we've described. So now we will see how Lord Balaram deals with this situation to make everyone except Rukmi, because it wouldn't be possible, to make Krishna and Rukmini happy and satisfied. Yes, so to be just one of the grand days in their lives, but Rukmi is extremely upset with her husband of the last, half hour or something like that. So the first thing he does is seeing the necessity to sort of stabilize Rukmini and get her to see things from not just the family brother-sister point of view, but to our family tradition. To cut someone's hair and shave his moustache and beard is almost comparable to killing him. Whatever Rukmi might have been, he is now our brother-in-law, a relative of our family, and you should not have put him in such a condition. And so Rukmini is there. Now she's feeling, yeah, right, that's right. Yeah, tell him, sort him out. But it's true also. You know, what is Rukmi going to do? Is he going to go back home looking like, you know, shall we just say peculiar? Or what? Should he just shave his head and shave his face so, you know, at least it looks kind of normal in a certain type of way? But the problem with that is that the Kshatriyas, they would always keep hair, long hair, and beards and moustaches. They would always keep. It's like a sign of their virility, their masculine, you know, strength type of thing. So if he goes back with a shaved head, if he goes back with, you know, half a moustache, the other half is missing, and hair sort of sticking out here, but there's no hair on the side, etc., etc., what's going to be worse? So actually we don't know, it doesn't really explain what he did to deal with the situation, but obviously he had to do something. So there, Balaram chastises Krishna. It's a pastime. It's a pastime. You know, he's very happy actually that Rukmini looks like an idiot. He thinks that's quite appropriate, actually, because he is. And indeed, later on, and we'll see, maybe we'll have a look at that pastime this morning. Later on, there's a gambling match between Balaram and Rukmi, and Rukmi cheats. And Lord Balaram, like he cheats on a few occasions, and Balaram sees this, and eventually Balaram becomes just so angry, he kills Rukmi with his club. Bash. Good night, Rukmi. That was the end of Rukmi. Yeah. So it's not really that Lord Balaram is thinking, oh, our poor brother-in-law. Oh, it's not nice what's been done with him. But he's just being polite to achieve a particular result through like some kind of negotiation or speaking. So after this, to pacify Rukmini, Lord Balaram said to her, you should not be sorry that your brother has been made odd-looking. Everyone suffers or enjoys the results of his own actions. Because Rukmini, being, you know, a great devotee, a saintly lady from a high family, she understands the philosophy. She's not just some uneducated person. She understands the laws of karma. She understands them. And so here Balaram's pointing out, it's his karma. What can be done? You can't stop the laws of karma working, at least particularly with non-devotees. And she knows that Rukmi is not a devotee. So it's his karma. And in this way, Rukmini, who was thinking, you know, from Krishna being chastised, yeah, you know, it wasn't nice. Now she thinks, oh yeah, well actually you've got a point there. It was his karma, so, you know, there's no point in getting emotional about it. So then Lord Balaram again turned toward Krishna and said, my dear Krishna, a relative, even though he commits such a blunder and deserves to be killed, should be excused. For when such a relative is conscious of his own fault, that consciousness itself is like death. Therefore, there's no need to kill him. for the Kshatriyas, and this is mentioned in the first chapter, the very early parts of Bhagavad Gita, that for the Kshatriyas, the warriors, they go into battle and they lose, but the enemy lets them go. That is worse than being killed in the battle. It would be better to be killed in the battle. Because, well, there's a story, actually, I forget who's involved in it, but some Kshatriyas, Prabhupada tells the story, some Kshatriyas have a battle, and the losing side, the leader of the losing side, he's the king of one area, but the enemy, the winners, don't kill him. They tell him, okay, you can go home. So he goes home and he finds the door of the palace is locked from the inside. So he knocks on the door. His wife comes, on some level above, looking over the wall, and says, "Who is it?" And he says, "It's me, your husband, the king." And she says, No, you're not my husband. My husband was just in a battle, and I heard he lost, so he must have been killed. My husband is dead, so you're not my husband, get out. And she wouldn't let him in. She wouldn't let him in. And that was the end of their marriage. So yes, for Kshatriyas particularly, some sort of embarrassment like this is worse than death. It's worse than death. So what Krishna has done to Rukmi is worse than death, because it's so extremely embarrassing. If he goes home looking like, very odd, it's just going to be the talk of the town, the joke of the town, for weeks and months and just forever practically. And if he shaves his head so at least everything looks uniform, it's going to be a great embarrassment also, because Kshatriyas never do that. Yes, so what's happened to him, Balaram says to Krishna, is worse than if he was killed. And Rukmini's thinking, yeah, you're right. So then Balaram again turned toward Rukmini and informed her that the current duty of the Kshatriya in human society is so fixed that according to the principles of fighting, one's own brother may become an enemy. Then a Kshatriya does not hesitate to kill his own brother. In other words, Lord Balaram wanted to instruct Rukmini that Rukmi and Krishna were right in not showing mercy to each other in the fighting, despite the family consideration that they happen to be brothers-in-law. Sri Balaram informed Rukmini that Kshatriyas are typical emblems of the materialistic way of life. They become puffed up whenever there's a question of material acquisition. Therefore, when there's a fight between two belligerent Kshatriyas for kingdom, land, wealth, women, prestige, or power, they try to put one another into the most abominable condition. So again, he's instructing Rukmini and she, because she's intelligent and she understands things transcendentally and laws of morality and social considerations, etc. Rukmini's also, she's agreeing, yeah, you're right. These Kshatriyas, they do things like this. This is just normal. So Balaram instructed Rukmini that her affection toward her brother Rukmi, who had created enmity with so many persons, was a perverse consideration befitting an ordinary materialist. Her brother's character was not at all admirable, considering his treatment toward other friends. And yet Rukmini, as an ordinary woman, was affectionate toward him. He was not fit to be her brother. And still Rukmini was lenient toward him. So now Balaram is chastising Rukmini. This is inappropriate for you. You know better, because she knows better. And then Balaram continues, besides that, the consideration that a person is neutral or is one's friend or enemy is generally made by persons in the bodily concept of life. Such foolish persons are bewildered by the illusory energy of the Supreme Lord. The spirit soul is made of the same pure quality in any embodiment of matter. But those who are not sufficiently intelligent see only the bodily differences between animals and men, literates and illiterates, rich and poor, which cover the pure spirit soul. And so, the conclusion is, after hearing such enlightening instructions from Sri Balaram, Rukmini immediately became pacified and happy and adjusted her mind, which was very much afflicted by the degraded position of her brother Rukmini. Isn't that interesting? I really like that. I mean, there are many others, and we like them all, but I really like this. It's more subtle than most others. So anyway, a little later on, sometime later on, one of Krishna's grandsons, Aniruddha, who was the son of Pradyumna, who is a son of Krishna. So it is some years later, Aniruddha and the granddaughter of Rukmi, whose name was Rochana, they decided they wanted to get married. So, so what happened? He kidnapped her. Something along those lines. And just a sec. Yeah. So anyway, they got married. They were married. And after this, just like immediately after this, at the same place where the wedding had taken place, so a group of Rukmi's friends, other kings, not liking Balaram, they told Rukmi, you should defeat Balaram at dice. He's not expert at dice, O king, but still he's quite addicted to it. Hare Krishna. These are Kshatriya pastimes. Lord Balaram, anyway. It's sort of like, it's his pastime. He appears to be quite fond of a little bit of gambling, which is not unusual for Kshatriyas. I mean, it's normal, actually. And if you remember, that's how the Pandavas lost Draupadi. You know that story? They lost because Yudhisthira got involved in a gambling match and lost everything step by step, and finally, last step, lost his wife or their wife. So, this is sort of part of the Kshatriya way. So Balaram was quite fond of these types of activities in a very transcendental way, Don't worry about it and don't imitate it. So, but amongst different ways of competing in these types of matches, he was not good at throwing dice. Apparently, there are techniques of throwing dice so that, the dice will land in a particular way, 2 6s or whatever it may be. He's not good at it, but he just likes doing it. So like this, Rukmi challenged Balaram and began a gambling match with him, because a Kshatriya cannot refuse a challenge. That's just part of Kshatriya Dharma in general. If they're challenged to anything, they cannot refuse. So in that match, Lord Balaram first accepted a wager of 100 coins. And these are gold coins. So it's like 100 Kruger rands. How much is that worth? Plenty. Yeah. First 100 coins, then 1,000, then 10,000. Rukmi won this first round, and the king of Kalinga, one of the other kings who was there, who's close to Rukmi, the king of Kalinga laughed loudly at Lord Balaram, showing all his teeth. Yes, anyway, Lord Balaram could not tolerate this. Next, Rukmi accepted a bet of 100,000 coins, which Lord Balaram won. But Rukmi tried to cheat, declaring, "I'm the winner." Shaking with anger, like the ocean on the full moon day, handsome Lord Balaram, his naturally reddish eyes, even redder in his fury, accepted a wager of 100 million gold coins. Sure. Just a different sort of concept of wealth. Lord Balaram fairly won this wager also, but Rukmi again resorted to cheating and declared, "I have won. Let these witnesses here say what they saw." Just then a voice from the sky declared, "Balaram has fairly won this wager. Rukmi is surely lying." But, urged on by the wicked kings, Rukmi ignored the divine voice. In fact, destiny itself was urging Rukmi on, and thus he ridiculed Lord Balaram as follows. He said, "You cowherds who wander about the forests know nothing about dice. Playing with dice and sporting with arrows are only for kings, not for the likes of you." Thus, that's a problem. That's a big no-no. You don't do that with Lord Balaram. Thus insulted by Rukmi and ridiculed by the kings, Lord Balaram was provoked to anger. In the midst of the auspicious wedding assembly, Lord Balaram raised his club and struck Rukmi dead. Shri Baladev Ji Ki. Yes. Goodbye, Rukmi. The king of Kalinga, who had laughed at Lord Balaram and shown his teeth, tried to run away, but the furious Lord quickly seized him on his 10th step and knocked out all his teeth. Tormented by Lord Balaram's club, the other kings fled in fear, their arms, thighs, and heads broken, and their bodies drenched in blood. When his brother-in-law Rukmi was slain, Lord Krishna neither applauded nor protested, O Maharaj Parikshit, for he feared jeopardizing his affectionate ties with either Rukmini or Balaram. Lord Krishna is doing a little diplomacy himself. He just was cool, didn't show any emotions. So yes, that's another pastime there. How about, let's see, how about the pastime of the killing of Dvivida gorilla? So Prabhupada makes the point, I think it's Prabhupada, that Srila Jiva Goswami points out some interesting facts about the ape Dvivida. Yeah, he's a very extraordinary person, Dvivida. By the time Krishna and Balaram were present on the planet, and at this point they were living in Dwarika, they had left Vrindavan some time before. So, at that point, Dvivida gorilla was a demon. But it's explained that Dvivida previously was an associate of Lord Ramachandra. He was a devotee of Lord Ram. But later he became corrupted by association with the demon Narakasura, who's a son of Krishna. Krishna and Bhumi, or Lord Varaha. Who's Krishna? And Bhumi, Devi, Mother Earth. Yes, so, there are examples of people who were the children of even the Supreme Personality of Godhead, falling down and becoming demons through bad association. Like Advaita Acharya, he had 6 sons. 3 of them became Mayavadis. Means basically it's a demoniac, atheistic philosophy. Yeah, so they were rejected. And now in this case, Narakasura was a son of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But he became corrupted. He became corrupted, he became a demon. And Dvivida, who was a devotee of Lord Ram previously, he somehow got into the company of Narakasura and he became a demon, like a staunch demon, aggressive demon against the Supreme Lord. Yeah. And there are, his associate is Mainda. Anyway, let me just read what is said here. Right, so this bad association was the reaction for an offense Dvivida had committed when, being proud of his strength, he disrespected Lord Ramachandra's brother Lakshman and others. Those who worship Lord Ramachandra sometimes chant hymns addressed to Mainda and Dvivida, who are attendant deities of the Lord. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, the Mainda and Dvivida mentioned in this verse are empowered expansions of these deities who are residents of Lord Ramachandra's Vaikuntha domain. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur concurs with Srila Jiva Goswami's view that Dvivida was ruined by bad association, which was a punishment for his having disrespected Sriman Lakshman. Yeah. So we have to be respectful to the devotees, otherwise, if we're not, particularly if one gets into some habit of disrespecting devotees, and particularly, any devotees ultimately, but particularly more advanced devotees, then it's like spiritual suicide, like cutting your own throat. And anyone who does that, you must know, they've lost it completely. They've just totally lost it if they commit suicide. It's just madness. So anyway, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur states, however, that the Mainda and Dvivida mentioned here are actually the eternally liberated devotees addressed as attendant deities during the worship of Lord Ramachandra. The Lord arranged their degradation, he says, to show the evil of the bad association that results from offending great personalities. So I hope you're taking this all in. Yeah. Thus, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti compares the fall of Dvivida and Mainda to that of Jai and Vijay. Special arrangement of the Lord, not just, someone just happened to become a demon. So anyway, there they are, and Lord Balaram is enjoying pastimes with some young ladies near Dwaraka, just sort of by the seaside, by Dwaraka, which of course is right on the seaside, but nearby, not far from Dwaraka. So they're enjoying pastimes. What is Lord Balaram doing? Tell me, along with dancing, what's he doing? He's drinking Varuni. That's right. So he's really enjoying life with the young ladies who are all great devotees. But this Dvivida came and started harassing them. He would shout some like obscenities, Hare Krishna, and throw some rocks and things and really cause a disturbance. And then it's good you're all sitting down, because one thing he did, and just be ready, are you ready? He turned around and showed his rear end to the girls.
What?
Sure. And that, Balaram that was it. That was just it. So Balaram threw a rock at Dvivida, but missed. Transcendental pastime. Then Dvivida came running in and stole Lord Balaram's bottle of Varuni. That's serious. Yeah. So Balaram took up his plow. He decided, right, that's it. Going to kill him. But Dvivida pulled a tree out of the ground and struck Lord Balaram on the head. The Lord was completely unaffected. And the Lord hit him on his head with his club. Yeah. Struck on the skull by the Lord's club. Duavida became brilliantly decorated by the outpour of blood, like a mountain beautified by red oxide. Ignoring the wound, Duavida uprooted another tree, stripped it of leaves by brute force, and struck the Lord again. Now enraged, Lord Balaram shattered the tree into hundreds of pieces, upon which Duavida grabbed yet another tree and furiously hit the Lord again. This tree too, the Lord smashed into hundreds of pieces. So between them they uproot all the trees in the vicinity. Then Duavida started hurling rocks at the Lord, but the Lord hit them with his club and pulverized them, smashed them to pieces. Then Duavida rushed at Balaram and started hitting Lord Balaram with his fists. The Lord hit him on the collarbone, which is this bone here, and Duavida fell down, vomiting blood, and died. Hare Krishna. Hare Rama.
Hare Rama.
Sri Baladev Ji ki jai. Wow. And this might sound a little, blood everywhere. It might sound for the weak-hearted. It might sound a bit, too much. But for those who appreciate the pastimes, it's just nectar. Right, so let's just touch on one of Lord Balaram's pastimes in Vrindavan. Let's just see how far we get with the pastime of Dhanakasura. Dhanakasura, of course, this is in Vrindavan, Krishna and Balaram, young cowherd boys, taking out the cows. Yeah, so they've been doing it. First of all, they took out the calves, now they're taking out the cows. That was when Krishna was 3, or both of them were 3. So as they entered the Poganda age, starting from 6, they were allowed to take out the cows. So this pastime, interesting, it happened on the Gopastami day. On the Gopastami day, this pastime with Dhanakasura. So they're walking down, Krishna, Balaram, cowherd boys, walking down from Nandagram and passing by Talavan. Yes. And from the forest, Talavan means the forest of tal fruits. Tal fruits, tal is a type of palm. So these are some types of fruits that grow on these palms. So anyway, they're walking past, and it's Gopastami. Gopastami, that's like October. So it's still hot. And a lot of fruit, it's late summer or heading into heading into kind of autumn times. And a lot of fruits are becoming ripe. But now in this Talavan was living this demon, Dhanakasura, who was in the form of a donkey, but a gigantic donkey, as strong as 100,000 lions. He was living, and he did not eat fruit. He was one of that sort of person, yeah. But even though all this fruit was growing in this forest, he wouldn't let anyone else take it. So the fruit was just becoming ripe on the trees until it just couldn't stay on the trees and just fall and just sort of get mushed on the ground. And no one was able to utilize it at all. But because the fruit was all ripe, beautiful aroma of ripe fruit was coming from the forest. And the cowherd boys, they wanted to offer it to Krishna particularly, and Balaram. But they knew if they asked Krishna and Balaram, can you help us get some of this fruit because we want to offer it to you? Krishna and Balaram would say, no, we don't need any. We have our lunch boxes. And there's plenty of fruit in their lunch boxes because their lunch boxes are transcendental. And in each lunch box is sort of, like a normal school-sized lunch box. I think we all have had that sort of thing. But in it, there are all different mangoes, including, what do they call them? Alfonso mangoes from near Mumbai, which are the best in the world. Yeah, and all other sorts of fruits, fresh lychees and just, wow, and plenty of them in these little lunch boxes, plus many different sabjis. What's your favorite sabji? Or favorite prasadam?
Paneer. Anything with paneer.
So they're all different types of things with paneer. Paneer with cauliflower, potatoes, peas, cabbage, you name it. And plenty of each preparation, all in this box, this regular looking box. And sweets. What's your favorite sweet?
Burfi.
Burfi. Many different types of burfi. Cashew burfi. What's your favorite sweet?
Anything.
There's lots of everything. And all in this box, this normal looking box. And unlimited amounts of everything. So they didn't say that we want to help us because we want to offer this fruit to you. They said, we want to eat this fruit. Can you help us get it? And because Krishna and Balaram are so kind to their devotees, they immediately agreed, of course, we'll help you get it. So into the forest they went, and Balaram started shaking the trees, and in fact the whole planet shook. And Dhanakasura, who was sleeping nearby, the whole planet shook, and he got woken up, and he came racing over. Who is the rascal who's disturbing my forest? And he saw Lord Balaram. And he thought, it's him, this white-skinned boy. And Dhanakasura decided, right, I'm going to kill him. So you know what happened next? Come to Midran tonight and find out. Because it's spectacular. It's super spectacular, actually. Hare Krishna. Hare Rama. Shri Shri Krishna Balaram Ke. Shri Baladev Ji Ke.